Back at it again. Alright, we just got into this village where everybody knows who Kaim is. Apparently I did. Magic powered locator level 1. I saved the village with air tags. Using the magic powered locator, you'll be able to look for treasures hidden all over the world. But to find treasures, you must obtain information on the whereabouts of those treasures. Once you get information on a treasure, it will appear on the treasure's screen within the item menu. When you have your magic power locator and information, there will be a glowing point on the navigation map when you enter the area in which the treasure is hidden. The treasure is hidden at the glowing point. Search for it in the nearby area. You can increase the output of the magic-powered locator, enabling you to find a lot more treasure than with the level 1 locator. Okay then. It's in the item and treasures. Okay. The hero was home from war. He had performed gallantly on the battlefield, advanced to the rank of general. Cows. Yo, what up, Ray Crocs? He had performed gallantly on the battlefield, advanced to the rank of general, and made a triumphal entry into the village of his birth. The villagers welcomed him with a festive celebration. The grown-ups were treated to drinks beginning in the afternoon, and the children received sweet confections. The cattle and sheep in the pastures that supported the village's livelihood, whether because they were excited by the unusual commotion or were welcoming the hero in their own way, sent especially shrill cries reverberating into the blue summer sky. General, you're the pride of our village. Obviously full of pride himself, the head of the village thrust out his chest as he delivered his congratulatory address in the welcoming ceremony. To think that the foremost hero of my army came from this tiny village is so incredibly exhilarating and gratifying. I am sure our ancestors are overjoyed as well. The throng crammed into the village square burst forth with cheers and applause. According to the official figures released by the army the other day, General, you brought down at least 2,000 enemy soldiers with your own hand. A thunderous roar shook the square. Come to think of it, the population of this village is less than 1,000. This means, sir, that you managed to bury more than 2 of these villagers' worth on your own. How fortunate for us that you are not one of the enemy. If by any chance there had been a warrior of your caliber on their side, we'd all be resting in the hilltop graveyard by now. A few of the women frowned momentarily at this remark, but the men, full of liquor, responded with an explosive laugh. Sitting stage center, the general lightly stroked his dignified beard. No one present knew that this was his habit whenever he was perplexed. That's like a normal thing to do when you're perplexed, I think. When he left his village to join the army, he was just an ordinary soldier a long way from growing a beard. General, you are truly the savior of our army, and indeed our entire nation. I understand that you will be leaving for another battle tomorrow, but we all hope that you will thoroughly enjoy yourself on this rare visit to your birthplace. The village chief ended his greetings and withdrew the wings, whereupon the village's #1 entertainer bounded onto the stage in the most comical way he could manage. Dear General, he cried, running over to where the great man was seated and going down on his knees. Oh, hear my plea. The general looked at him uncertainly. Is there any possibility that you would lend me the sword at your side, if only for a moment? Perplexed though as he was by this, the general, impelled by the audience's applause and cheers, handed the man his tasseled and jewel-encrusted sword. The man bowed deeply as the sword entered his outstretched hands, and again he cried, My gratitude knows no bounds, pretending to stagger under the weight of the sword. He came to the front edge of the stage and held the weapon aloft. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I will reenact the event that raised our dear general's fame to the heights in a single bound. When he hacked 18 of the enemy into little teeny tiny bits, the audience cheered wildly at man, with exaggerated movements and commentary, swung the sword in a great art. The audience knew exactly what he was doing. The general had not only made a name for himself for his strategic prowess, but was also widely acclaimed as a warrior on the battlefield. He did not rely solely on his weapons, but in the end levels his opponents with his sheer physical strength. This, too, was a matter of utmost pride for the villagers. Here we go, 1 man down, 2 men down, flip the sword back, 3 men down. 4th man slashed diagonally right through the shoulder. A 5th man's head goes flying, oof. Then 3 at once. 6th, 7th, 8th, oh, what a bother, I'll just skewer you like this. The man thrust the sword through 3 imaginary opponents and the crowd went wild. The general, too, broke into a smile and applauded. When he was through clapping, though, he stroked his beard again. I'm sure you can understand how I felt at the time, sitting up there on that stage, the old general says to Kime before taking a sip of water from his leather pouch. His magnificent beard is completely white, so distant are the past events he is recounting. Kime nods in silence, and the general continues as if mulling over every word. The more you know about war, the more you feel that way. I'm sure the villagers meant well. They just wanted to pay homage to their hometown hero. No, of course, they were being the least bit malicious. My village has the nicest people in the world, which is exactly why I found the whole thing so painful. I couldn't stand it after a while. Hacking 18 men to bits, the deeds of a hero are related in numbers. Surely the man who playfully swung the general's sword on the stage that day could never have imagined the ones who lost their lives on the battlefield, the agonized expressions on their faces, the curse in their eyes as they stared into nothingness. But that's alright too. People who live peaceful lives don't have to know about such things. That's what people like us are for, to keep their lives far away from the battlefields, don't you agree? Thanks to us and our killing of enemies, the people we're supposed to protect don't have to know anything about the bloodliness of war. Unless you believe that, what's the point in people killing each other? Kime says nothing in reply. Without either affirming or negating the old general's words, he stares vaguely at the general's troops. What did you say your name is? Kaim? Suppose you've killed more enemy soldiers than you can begin to count. There is no way I could count them all. I thought so. You have a flawless build, the kind that can only be tempered on the battlefield. Only a man who has survived one battle after another can carry himself the way you do with complete naturalness. How does a man like you find himself driving a horse cart over a mountain pass? Kaim is ready to leave without answering if the old man asks him such a question. But the general inquiries no further into Kaim's background. Instead, there is a sense of relief in the smile he bestows on the sight of Kaim resting his horses at the pass. I was 16 the first time I went into battle. After that, I just kept running from one fight to another until I made it all the way to General. At first, I remembered the faces of men I crossed swords with and killed. Even if you don't try to remember them, they get carved into your memory. I had terrible nightmares. And try as I might, I could never seem to wash off the stench of blood that splashed on my face and hands. That was a hallucination, of course, but it got so bad that once I spent a whole night in a river trying to wash myself off. The general paused a moment to think about his story, then went on. But after a while, you get used to it. You get used to fighting and killing over and over and again. Your body and your mind and your heart just get used to it. And that's how people are. So I stopped having nightmares. I killed all the enemy soldiers I could lay my hands on, and I forgot every one of their faces. It's the same for you now too, Kaim, isn't it? Maybe so. It's like a curse. If you don't get used to it, your heart breaks. On the other hand, if you do get used to it, your heart probably ends up breaking someplace deeper down. The general cast a fond glance towards his resting troops. Then, slowly shifting his gaze far down to the foot of the mountain, he says, "So that's what it was like for me back then when I returned to my birthplace in triumph." For the final event in the welcoming ceremony, several children mounted the stage. And now, in honor of our hero, the children will present to the general a floral wreath more marvelous than the greatest medal there ever was. The audience went wild again. When the children put the wreath on his neck, the general favored them with a warm smile, the first honest smile from the heart that he had managed since climbing onto the stage. And finally, as a special treat for the general, who had been galloping from one battlefield to the next, far from his native place, the children's chosen representative will read his own original composition spelling out the joys of the peaceful life of the village. With a look of grim intensity, a small boy barely old enough to go to school unfolded his composition and, gripping it in two hands, began to read aloud from it, straining to make himself heard. First, I'm going to write about one of the nicest things that happened to me. At my house, we have a pasture with lots of cows and sheep. One cow and had a baby 2 days ago. I helped my daddy by stroking the cow's back with a handful of straw while she was having the baby. This makes the cow warm up so it's easier for her to give birth. The baby was born just before the sun came up. It was a tiny baby, but it could already stand on its own legs. A baby, wow! I'm going to take care of this baby until it gets big. Dear little calf, hurry up and grow. Grow up, okay? The general had tears in his eyes. Now I'm going to write about one of the saddest things that happened to me. That was when my grandma got sick and died. She was such a nice grandma. I know her sickness made her feel bad, but she was always smiling when I was around. She let me hold her hand when she died. I watched her face the whole time because I knew I wouldn't be able to see her anymore, and I wanted to remember her even after I grow up. She just kept smiling and smiling for me right to the very end. That's why she is always smiling when I think of her. Are you looking down on me from the sky, Grandma? I will never forget you as long as I live. Tears were streaming down the general's face. When the ceremony ended, the general left his village and headed to the town where army headquarters was located. There he wrote a long letter to the king, and he gave his word to his most trusted lieutenant. The general had decided to retire. This was a big surprise to me, as it was to anybody. When I heard that little boy's essay, it occurred to me, what makes us really human is to celebrate each life that comes into the world and mourn each life that is lost. I didn't need medals anymore. I didn't need the honor of being allowed into the presence of His Majesty anymore. I wanted to be a real human being again. As a result, overnight, I went from being the village hero to being reviled as a traitor. The general turns to face Kaim and asks, "So are you going to mock me as a coward who ran away from the battlefield? Or blame me for being a deserter who betrayed his own patriotism?" Kaim turns a gentle smile on the old man. "Neither," he says. "As a soldier, you made the wrong decision, but as a human being, you made the right one." The general strokes his white beard and says, "My habit has changed too. Nowadays, I find myself stroking my beard when I'm embarrassed." The two men look at each other and smile. "Okay, back to work," says the general, standing with a grunt. He calls out to his troops, "All right, men, it's all downhill from here. Let's give it one last push and get it back to the village before sunset." The troops under the general's command consist of 30 sheep, not one of whom is likely to take a person's life. "Tell me, Khan, are you planning to go back to the battle at some point?" "I don't really know," he replies. "I'm content with herding sheep for now," the general says. I don't have the least regret for the decision I made that day. It would make me happy to think that this could be kind of a lesson for you." With this parting remark, the general turns away from Kaim and begins walking. The sheep amble along after him in newly reformed ranks. Standing at attention, the general raises his right arm and waves the troops on. "Forward march!" The command he had once delivered to tens of thousands of men on the battlefield now echoes pleasantly among the mountains of his native village. What a nice story. The end. Treasure hunt information, you say? What is it? How do I see it? I missed a dream at some point. Says the highest place in Tosca. Oh. Hidden somewhere behind Tosca village, a present for Kaim from the children. Everyone seems pretty scared of that old sorceress, but I don't think she's any kind of monster. You brought us food when we were all about to starve to death, right? My grandpa says we owe everything to your help. What's in here? Old Man Basso. One of these things. I still don't know what these things do. Look it up. Oh, okay. So if you give it enough seeds, it gives you rewards. Oh, okay. You can exchange like weaker healing medicines for more powerful ones. If you give it the seeds, after a while it will give you items. Are there anything else seeds are used for? There are 99 seeds scattered. I probably missed a lot of these. Okay, so you just give them to him. There's no other use for them. Don't mind me just rummaging through your stuff. If I have any one complaint about this game so far, it's that when you're walking around like this, the acceleration of like him getting up and moving is like kind of annoying, and like he almost like steers like he has tank controls. It's a little obnoxious. It's not too bad. You can sprint really fast, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, like the sort of like tank controls almost are annoying, and also just like the fact that you get animation locked for so long doing certain things like climbing up ladders or getting items. It just takes forever for it to happen. Not too bad, kind of a minor complaint, but So the clue for the treasure said it's high above the village. There's gotta be some sort of purpose for this area that I'm missing. I feel like I've missed a lot of secrets. I'm not trying to 100% this game or anything though, just want to play through it. Story. Story time, yeah. There is no way to keep the village from becoming a battlefield. The enemy forces have crossed the northern pass and made their camp close by. The home forces are here too, sending one unit after another into the village to resist the enemy's attack. The place is a powder keg. Ringed by mountains where two highways intersect, the village is a crucial focal point for transport. It cannot be allowed to fall into enemy hands, while its capture is essential to any hopes the enemy might have for victory in the war. Long years of fighting have come down to this one major battle. It is a battle that must be waged. The logic is clear, simple, inevitable, and it will transform this tranquil village into a battlefield at any moment. The army has ordered the villagers to evacuate. Non-combatants can only get in the way. The enemy wants to settle this before the weather turns cold. So what does that mean? Another month? 2 weeks? Got your stuff packed? No sense in getting caught in the middle and killed. Talk about dying for nothing. Better forget about taking any pots and pans with you. Pack as light as you can and get away as far as you can. Think of all the generations our ancestors guarded our houses and land. I hate to think it's going to turn into a wasteland when the fighting starts. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just plain bad luck, that's all. We just have to hang in there till the war is over and come back when we find out who won. The main thing is to get out now. Right, it's all we can do. We've got to stay alive, better not hope for anything more than that. Why the hell does this have to happen to us? The villagers leave a few at a time, beginning just wants to find temporary shelter. In the forest, lightly tinged red. The village is practically deserted. The only ones left are old folks who live alone and have no one to turn to place to run to. The army has built a group refugee camp from the evacuees able to cross some mountains to reach it. The aged, poor, stagger in with little more than the close to their back. The only one left in the village is Grandma Koto. The bread of Grandma Koto. As a mercenary, Kaim first met old Koto shortly after he joined the unit protecting his village. protecting the village. He was on an inspection round at the time when he spotted an old woman working the fields. She turned out to be Grandma Koto. A soldier with him yelled at her, "Hey, old lady, enough of that." Another man shouted, "You better get out of here now if you want to stay alive. Fight's going to start in 2 or 3 days. How many times do we have to tell you to go to the damn refugee camp?" Oops. But the old Koto stayed hunched over, digging in the dirt. Obviously, she was not harvesting anything. If this had been a time when the grain had ripened and she was hurrying to harvest her crops, it might have made sense. But she was just turning the soil as if she had forgotten that a battle was about to start here at any moment. Is the old bag deaf or just senile? With a disgusted look, the captain called over to Kime. "Hey, new guy, do something about this one. Drag her to the refugee camp if you have to tie a rope around her neck. We can't have her wandering around here. She's just going to get in the way when the fighting starts." The captain's tone was arrogant. The more cowardly a commanding officer is, the more arrogant and overbearing his style becomes, and the less he's able to conceal his nervousness when a battle is nearing. Kime strode silently toward the old woman in the field. "We'll go on ahead," the captain called out behind him, but he did not turn around. Only a few days would be needed to decide the outcome of the battle for the village, which was a reflection on how violent it promised to be. For this reason, working the fields now is pointless. Even the most carefully cultivated patch of ground would be crushed under a soldier's boots. The next harvest year was out of the question, nor was it clear how many years it would be to take to restore the village to its former tranquility. When Kime approached her in the field, the old woman kept working and said, "Don't try to stop me." She looked and sounded much tougher than she had seemed from a distance. She might have been one of those stubborn and cranky old folks that people kept their distance from when the village was at peace. "You're not going to evacuate?" Kime said. "What the hell for?" she spat out. They built a camp you can go to." Old Koto gave out a snort and said to Kime, "You're the new one. I never seen you before." "Yes." "So you don't even know what the camp's like. You soldiers have nothing to worry about." "What do you mean?" Old Koto said nothing but pointed toward the steep mountain standing like a painted screen on the west side of the village. Kime asked, "Is that where the camp is?" "Hell no. You have to cross that mountain and another one to get to it. Nobody my age can walk that far. What's the point of building a camp in a place like that? How many old folks do they think going to make it over there? Might as well leave us out in the hills to die like the old days." Kime was at a loss for an answer. Continuing her digging, the old woman grumbled, "That's how the government does everything." She was clearly angry, but perhaps less angry than sad. "You're on an inspection tour, right? Well, don't let me stop you." "No, you see, you're not going to get me to go to any damn refugee camp. That's all there is to it. I'm not going anywhere. This is the village I was born in. I've lived here my entire life." "I know how you feel, but this place is going to turn into a battlefield soon." "I know that." So what?" Kime was at a loss for words again. When she saw that, she smiled and said, You're a sweet young man, kind of unusual in a soldier." Her expression had softened for the first time. When she stopped being so prickly, the smile she produced was actually rather endearing. "When this place turns into a battlefield, people will die. Lots of them. Don't worry. But I have work to do." Oh. This is the old lady talking. "When this place turns into a battlefield, people will die. Lots of them. I know that much. But don't worry. But I have work to do, soldier boy. Telling me to leave my work and run away is like telling me to die. So if I'm gonna die anyway, and it won't be long now, I want you to let me do what I want to do. You shouldn't have a problem with that." Kime felt silent, not because he's at a loss for words again, but because he believed she was right. If I'm going to die anyway, if I'm going to die anyway, she said, knowing that he would never be able to speak such words. He had no choice but to bow silently to her will. All right then. All right then, run along there, Sonny. I've got work to do. What are you doing now? See for yourself. Sorry, but I don't know much about farm work. Like all the other soldiers, said Koto with a smile. The only thing you people ever think about is killing enemies. You don't know anything about nurturing life. She let out a hint of sorrow show again. Perhaps somewhat taken with Kaim, however, she favored him with an explanation. I'm planting seeds, she said. Grains of wheat. You sow them in the fall. They mature over winter, shoot up under the spring sun, and turn the fields golden in the summer. I always do my planting when the northern mountain peaks turn white, every year, and this year's not going to be any different. With the seeds mature in the trampled fields, Kaim had his doubts. Grandma Koto, however, displayed not the least anxiety or resignation as she scattered seeds in the newly turned soil. Her hands performed the age-old ritual with ease and naturalness, as if to impress upon Kaim the fact that what she was doing this year was nothing more or less than what she had done every year before. As a result, Kaim's next words emerged with a smoothness that he himself found somewhat surprising. What if the seeds don't grow? Then I'll just do it again next year. And if next year's bad, I'll do it the year after that. You have to plant the seeds. That's how I've lived my life. If you don't plant, nothing will grow. See what I mean? I think so. Whether there's a fight or not, it doesn't matter. I just have to do what I have to do, that's all. She spoke with certainty, her wrinkled face softening into a smile as she added, You can't even enjoy a meal if you know you haven't done things right. You're saying that this is what gives your life meaning? This was the question to which Kaim had long searched for an answer. For what purpose had he been born into this world? What was he supposed to accomplish here? He had continued to roam through his life's endless journey without knowing the answers to these questions. Indeed, because he didn't know the answers. I don't know about deep stuff like that, Grandma Koto said shyly. I just mill the wheat I've harvested and bake bread in the fall. The bread is really special. Nothing tastes as good as the first bread you made with that wheat you grew that year. That's what my grandson looks forward to every year. I just can't decide to take a year off now, can I? I see what you mean. No, you don't, she declared. You're nothing but a damn soldier. Her face turned hard again. There were no more smiles from her that day. When Kaim returned to the barracks, a soldier who had been stationed in the village for 6 months or more said to him, That old bag hates our guts. What, because we ruined the village? That's part of it, I suppose, but it's got deeper roots than that for her. Grandma Koto had lost her entire family to war. First, her husband died in the war 40 years earlier, then her son and his wife in the war 20 years earlier. And now one grandson they had left was taken to fight in the current war. What's his unit? Kaim asked the soldier. The man gave a helpless shrug and named the unit that had been sent to an area with the most intense fighting. Talk about bad luck. Fighting's so bad out there. If it was me, I'd take my chances on being executed for deserting under fire. He's got maybe 50-50 chance of coming back alive. No, maybe 30-40. If her grandson were to be killed, Grandma Koto would be all alone in the world. She would have no one to feed her bread to. It must be tough to let alone at that age. It must be tough to let alone at that age, the soldier said. Looking at old Koto, I can't help myself thinking of my mother back home. There's no way I can let myself get killed. She never stopped crying. Same for you too, eh, Kaim? Kime said nothing in reply. He had no right to put himself in the same category as this soldier. Battle started 3 days later. The enemy army's attack was even fiercer than expected. The defense forces had no choice but to put everything they had in the fight. Kime slept for the battlefront and headed for Koto's house. He found her leaving for the field as always. She gave no sign that she was afraid of the fighting. People who knew exactly what they must do and who refused to be distracted by anything else can be strong beyond all reason. Kime saw now that there could be far greater strength in a finite life than one that lasted forever. Because she sensed this so deeply, he stood before her, blocking her way. He lifted the tiny old woman in his arms and carried her bodily back to her house. "What are you doing? Let go of me. I'm not going to follow some soldier's orders. I have work to do." "Yes, I know that," Kime said. "So put me down now. I don't want to let you die." Holding her against his chest, he looked at her in the eye and pleaded with her. "I want you to bake bread next autumn from a new crop of wheat." She stopped flailing her arms and legs in a vain attempt to get free of his grip, and she looked straight at him and said, "As long as you have someone to feed your freshly baked bread to, I want you to keep baking bread year after year." Oh. Old Koto heaved a huge sigh and muttered, smiling, "I knew you were a very strange soldier." The battle raged on for several days. The arrogant, cowardly captain died in the fighting. The soldier who had told Kime the story of Grandma Koto also died. Countless defense troops died, and countless enemy troops died. The village was consumed in the flames of war, and old Koto's field was ravaged under the heels of the military. Kime's side managed to stave off the attackers, then followed the retreating enemy to the north. All that remained in their wake was the empty, devastated village. The war ended as spring was giving way to summer. At the massive cost of casualties, the army repulsed the enemy's invasion. The village began to recover little by little. As Grandma Koto predicted, not one old person who crossed the mountains to the refugee camp came back alive. Autumn, and Kime has come back to the village. It feels warm in the chest when he looks across the fields and spots old Koto sowing wheat. So she's doing it again this year, and next year, and the year after that, for as long as she is alive. She notices Kime and crosses towards him with a welcoming smile. A year has passed. She seems to have shrunk somewhat with a year's worth of aging. "Haven't seen you for a while," she says. "So they didn't kill you." "And I'm glad to see you looking well, too." "I heard you stayed near my house during the fight. You single-handedly fought to keep enemy troops away from it." Kime gives her a shy smile. "How was your wheat?" he asks. "All ruined, of course. Worst crop I've ever had. Just a few scrawny stalks, barely enough for one loaf." She tells him all this with surprising ease, and then she fixes her eye on him and asks, "Have some?" "What?" "Bread, of course. I'll bake you a loaf if you help me eat it." "Well, sure, but..." Grandma Koto sees through Kime's hesitancy with a calm smile. "Yes, he's dead, my grandson. I got word at the end of the summer. I was waiting and hoping, planning to bake him a loaf of bread as soon as he got home." When she sees Kime hanging his head in silence, she adopts a spirited tone, as if she has to be the one to cheer him up. "Come on, then. You eat what he would have had. It'll probably be tougher than usual, what with the wheat harvest being so bad, but I'm sure my grandson would be happy to know I've fed my bread to the man who saved my life." So this old woman has lost her entire family to war. In other words, there's no one left to enjoy her bread. Still, she urges Kime, oops, sorry about that. She urges Kime, "Wait just a minute while I finish this up," sowing the wheat for the next year's harvest. She does it because it is what she has always done. Because it is what she is supposed to do. Kime stops himself from speaking the words, "Let me help," and he stands staring at Koto's bent neck. In the glow of the setting autumn sun, she is sadly small and sadly beautiful. Kaim eats the fresh-baked bread. Old Koto is right. Made from wheat grown without its full measure of care, the bread is hard and dry and poor in taste. Still, of all the bread Kaim has eaten, and will go on to eat, in this long, long life, this is by far the most delicious. There you have it. I think I am going to step aside and get a beverage. Think I'm done with the dialogue in here? It didn't say I unlocked any more treasure stuff. Save. Alright. I will be right back. All right. I've obtained a refreshing beverage. Focus. There we go. Okay. Who do I talk to then? Maybe I have to go in here. No audio. We've never met, but I've heard he's very wise. I'm confident that he has a ship that can get us past the hypercurrents. Glug, 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 glug. Ah, wow, that hit the spot. You know, I'm finally starting to feel at home here. Are you even listening to me? There's a time and a place for that stuff, and this is neither. Tell me, is it really true you can't drink? Yes. That is so sad, but you're a queen. I mean, you don't have wine or champagne at parties or banquets or hangings or any festive things like that? No. Well, look it. Nobody knows us here. Come on, give it a try. I guarantee you'll like it, really. It won't kill you, I promise. In fact, I bet you take a couple drinks, you might get your memory back. Yep, relaxes the mind and other things. You think so? Absolutely. Hey, look at me. Bottoms up. What, you don't like the cheap stuff? It's just, I've never tasted anything like it before. She didn't even drink it. Don't force yourself to have a drink. No, I want my memory back. If there's any chance this will help, I'll manage to drink it. I don't think that's gonna help, lady. That's a little much. Are you okay? Ooh, I feel very lightheaded all of a sudden. Hope there aren't too many more cutscenes that are messed up like this. Yeah, definitely don't do that. She's shit faced. Now we have audio. Our Quara bomb. Pictures, huh? Don't mind me. I need to find like a item shop soon so I can stock up on mana potions and stuff. Yo, look at that bass. It's like a upright 5-string. It's crazy looking. I love how everyone has a description of who they are in front of their name.
いやー、カイム、本当に戻ってきたんだな。懐かしいな。子供の頃の面影があるぞ。いやよしてくれよ。もうすっかりおっさんよ。
そうは言うけどさ、なんかいい年の取り方してるじゃない。あた。
Oops.
姉ちゃん、ありがとうよ。こいつは店のおごりだ。飲んでくれ。気が利くね。じゃあ遠慮なく。
Can I have that big large mug over
あん
there?
たがこの村を飢饉から救ってくれた時、俺はまだ7歳だったがね。あんたのことをはっきり覚えてる。あの頃、村の子供たちの間で、あんたはヒーローだったんだぜ。
Hero.
そんなこともあったな。
Hero.
なあマスター、俺たちはゴッツァーに行きたいんだが。ああ、無理無理。暗黒洞窟を抜けなきゃゴッツァーには行けねえな。封印されているそうだが、年老いた魔導士がやったそうだな。何もビビることはねえさ。俺たちで封印をぶっ飛ばしちゃ済むだろう。そう簡単にはいかないんだ。今まで腕自慢、魔導力自慢の連中がみんな挑んでみたけど、びくともしねえ。どうやらあの封印を解けるのはあのじいさんだけみたいだぜ。相当な魔導力の持ち主だよ。面倒なことになったな。なあカイム。もっと面倒があるんだ。お前さんが昔サラと住んでたあのうちな、じいさんがいつの間にか住み着いちまってるんだ。あの家か。へえ、 それじゃ勝手にあんたとサラがいなくなってから俺たちはいつあんたらが帰ってきてもいいようにあのうちを開けておいたんだ。すまなかったな。今じゃあのうちじいさんのせいでぐちゃぐちゃだぜ。構わんさ。探す手間が省ける。そういう考えもあるか。
家を取られたんだから追い出しに行かないとね。
あんたなら大丈夫だと思うが、まあ気をつけてくれよ。そんじゃ一暴れしてこようぜ。
あんたミンをこのままにはしておけないでしょ。
出発は明日の朝だな。
A ring assembler. Not have enough parts. Sure, why not? secret treasure, I think. The hint for that was like overlooking the town. The other ones have got to be inside the hotel, I guess. And there's one place that twins are blocking off. Anything in here? No. It's upstairs. Here. Oh. Right here. No. 3 more. Where are the last 3? Nothing up here. Where are they? A red herring, maybe. I already went up there. Looks like I'm only gonna get 13. Does the big one count? We got that one. Time's up. Bad. Sure, you can unlock more stuff. Not sure how important it is. If it is, I'm sure I'll come back later. Can I go this way yet? See ya. Aw, it doesn't play the theme. Music here was like best. Sorceress's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion. Spooky house. Never did find an item shop in that town. Wonder if there is one. I'm gonna look that up real quick. What's that place called? Oscar Village. Second floor, the inn room left. I wonder why the overworld music doesn't work here specifically. Alright, well stocked. skill links. Haven't had many battles to level that up. Maybe now we will have some. Unless this Sorceress's house is all just puzzles or something. Can I just exit this way? Oh. Gotta exit to the north, I guess. Thus all that lives does flow. Thus do they fade away.
それは詩の断片のように見えますね。
魔導士がめちゃくちゃにしたせいじゃねえのか。とっとと追い出しちまおうぜ。
Warmth brings no solace. No battle music. Well, that's weird. Just weird sound effects. Maybe I'll have to like put on my own battle music soundtrack next time. It's creepy. It's gonna keep making that noise. No physical attacks on them, huh? Oh, I guess it worked there. those things making those noises. So I need anti-stone stuff here, yeah. Anti-fear. Interesting, I can't see their health. You guys are back row.
Get up!
Nothing. Great. Great. Oh, great. Nope, wrong one. No magic damage to them. Well, these enemies are annoying. Great. You can cure poison and paralysis, but not fear. Guess I should have bought more of these cure-all things. I just can't physical attack at all. So I'll just use a cure-all then. Rough. I have anti-seal and anti-blind, but nothing else. Well, I think I'm going to call it here for tonight. I'm going to run back to this other room. Do a save here. And then I'm probably, before I do this, gonna have to figure out some way to mitigate that fear and stone. At least one of them, so I'm not affected by both at the same time. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.